let's go through the 4 stages of learning. This was maybe it was demonstrated most aptly by Abraham Maslow, who hierarchy of needs psychologist. And there's a lot of people that played a role in this, but his name's kind of been attached to it so much, right? So the 4 stages of learning, the S on the screen represents the learning curve, right? It's not a straight line. It never is in most anything, right? But the first stage of all learning is this stage called unconscious incompetence, and this is that area where you don't know what you don't know. So in your particular case, I mean, there's some things that you don't know you need to figure out about when to transition, how to transition, all those different parts. And then even your children or the people that you're going to bring involved, there are things that they don't know. There are things that they don't know that they don't even know. And this is where the learning has to happen, and you need to go out and read and research and expose yourself to new ideas, new concepts, new information. There's a variety of different resources, things like the internet, books, videos, television. Those are all places that can expose you to different things and help you get out of this unconscious incompetence spot, because you can't do it by yourself. Right. You don't know, right? But once you understand something else, once you hear of a new idea, once you hear of a new system, hear of a new process, you instantly transport over to this thing called conscious incompetence. Now, conscious incompetence means that you know something exists, but you don't know how to do it. Well, the good news here is that now you're in control. You have the ability to decide to take the next steps and figure out something else, right? And so you didn't know anything necessarily about maybe transitioning your business to your family, but you've started taking those steps and you're learning. And so in many cases, maybe you're consciously incompetent. Or if you've learned how to do certain things, you mentioned that your daughter's helping you with some of the financials and some of the books, then you can transition it over to somebody else. And that's a place called conscious competence. Right? Conscious competence means you know how to do it, but maybe you're not an expert. Maybe you're not really, really good. Depending on whether you want to spend the time and the energy to become an expert or become really highly proficient, you could spend lots and lots of time, but it really comes down to feedback and practice that allows you to move to the next level of unconscious incompetence, or unconscious competence, and really that's a level of proficiency, whatever level of proficiency you have. So you have your daughter and you have your kids that are in various places on this line as far as moving in towards growing your business or moving into your business to help manage it. You have you on this curve in the sense that you're learning how to transition and when to transition. Right? And so we're all on this curve.
And my wife as well.
And your wife.
Yeah.
Right. So and sort of anybody and everybody that's connected to the business. So I'm going to take this information here and show you this thing called the stack, right? And in between those two things, I think we could maybe come up with some different ideas, have a discussion, and talk about how could we apply some of this information to figure out what maybe a couple of 2 or 3, we always try to get 3 action items, 3 things that would allow you to move your business forward in this transition model, maybe in this succession planning model, right? So we'll talk about the stack. And the stack is simply a triangle. It starts at the bottom and is clarity, right? What am I doing? When am I going to do it? Who's going to do it with me? Where am I going? That's what clarity is really all about. It's products, services, people, understanding all those components, really important, and it's the foundation of your business. And we take a look at effectiveness. Once we understand clarity, and we understand clarity to a large degree, now there's no such thing as 100% or perfection, but we go towards effectiveness because whatever we do, we have to do it well and we have to do it right. Once we understand how to do it well and how to do it right, we can go into growth. We can go into this thing called marketing, and we can expand, and we can go out. And you've done some of these things, obviously, from a business standpoint, but I suspect there are things in here that you're learning. You're in those spaces in your transition activities.
Never stop learning, John.
You never stop learning. Never stops. You're absolutely right. So once we get into marketing, now we can talk about sales, right? So now we end up, how do we find the marketing, the growth piece is how do we find people that are interested in our products and services? The sales part is how do we convince them or convert them into customers, right? And then ultimately we have this thing called leadership. And leadership is really all about managing your team, managing yourself. It starts with yourself, self-discipline, self-leadership, and then it comes to managing your team. And then ultimately it is you may have to manage suppliers, vendors, everything else, because that's it. That you have to control the whole, or you have to manage the whole chain effectively to achieve the goals and successes that you're looking for.
That's a good word, John, because you can't control much in life.
Right. So yeah, control. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So thank you for that.
Only ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. All I control is what it is that I do.
Right.
And there's so much learning that's gone on in my lifetime about that. Like, oh yeah, that's right. That's not in my control.